everyone, welcome back to another video. I have not been up here in over a week, but we are going to be doing a shaping video today. It is a very highly requested video, you guys, and I actually do not even use tips where I have to shape. So this video is going to be how I would shape if I did have to. I am not the best. I just want to put that out there right now before I even get deep into the video. I am not the best at shaping. I don't have to do it on a daily basis. I use pre-shaped tips, but today we are going in with some square tips, and the first finger that I'm going to be doing is just a simple square look. So what I do for square is I just take it in on the sides right there. I just where the natural nail and the tip meet, you want to make sure that all of that is very straight. Everything should be following in one line. If you see the tip hanging over your natural nail on the sides, you need to file that so that it is very perpendicular. Is that perpendicular? I don't know, but you need to make sure that everybody is standing in a straight line. Basically, that's what you want to think about when you are doing a just simple square nail. You want to make sure that everything is in a simple file line, like a straight line coming down from the natural nail to the very tip of that nail with a square look. So that is all I do, really. And if you want to get it more crisp, you see how the free edge of the nail is kind of crooked. You're just going to want to straighten that out. You want to look at it from all angles when you are shaping, especially if you're doing a client, because you see how I just had to straighten that out. Sometimes from your angle it will look straight, but then from their angle it is not going to look straight. So I'm just showing you guys up close like how it should look from all angles. The tip of my nail was still a little crooked, so I think I did go back and fix that. But square is probably the most simple shape that you're gonna get. I do see that people tend to leave their nails a little bulky on the sides, and that is because you are not doing this part right here. You have to go ahead, and the first thing that you should be doing is shaping your the sides of the nails. You should be shaping the sides of the nails so that they are very, very straight. So right now I'm going ahead, and I left everything in real time because I just want to show you guys exactly what I'm doing. But as you can see, I'm taking the file to the very end of my nail, and I'm just kind of tapering it in. This one is going to be a tapered square look. Now, again, I have tapered square coffin tips, so I typically don't have to do this. Coffin and tapered square are pretty much the same. The only difference that you're going to do with tapered square is you are not going to bring it in you're not going to bring it in as much towards the end of the nail. It's not going to be as narrow. So with tapered square, you kind of just leave it square, but at the tips of the nail, you're going to taper them in as if you were doing a coffin, but not so much that it's too narrow. So what I'm doing is I'm just going back and forth, side to side. You want to make sure that you are going back and forth, side to side with your files, so that you do not over file any one side, which I tend to do anyway. But again, that is why I use pre-shaped tips. I also have some tips on my website available for you all today. Everything on my website is 60% off. On Friday, everything is going to be 70% off. The tips are going to be like fairly regular price because they just got on the site, but everything else is going to be 70% off. I'm just trying to get rid of everything, and it is Black Friday, so I will leave the code and everything you need. The link is always in my description box for my website, but I will leave the code and everything in the description box so you all can get that percentage off. So right there, I was just showing you all that you're starting to see the tapered part at the end of the nail, and that is all you're going to do pretty much differently from a square nail. You're also going to have to taper in obviously the sides, the full side of the nail, just to match it up with the tip of the nail. So just be mindful. It's kind of hard for me to explain, so that is why I showed you in real time of what I'm doing, so that you can just follow along and really look at what I'm doing, because for me it's kind of hard to explain just because I do not, like I said, I don't do shaping on a regular basis. When my clients come in, I do not have to really shape anything unless they are asking for coffin, because I don't have any coffin tips if they are getting them very short. But coffin is a fairly easy shape to do on short nails. I feel like shaping longer nails is a little more difficult just because you have so much to shape and you can kind of lose it. So right here, I'm just still showing you all exactly what I'm doing. You want to make sure that everything is parallel. No matter what the shape is, you want to make sure that everything is parallel. And what I mean by that is when you are dragging your file down on the sides, your file should lay flat across the side of the nail, no matter what shape it is. I know that some people file with a sanding band or a bit, but I am not that advanced to be doing all that, and I feel like I would just overfile something or mess something up. So this is a straightforward hand filing video. Even when I blend the tips into my natural nail, I will be using the hand file, not an e-file. So you just want to make sure that you're getting under the nail too. When I am shaping the sides of my nails, sometimes I will tend to go up and down like how you see there, or I will do it like this. And I always try to get up underneath the nail. Now, I don't know if I'm showing it on this finger right here, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to show you on the next one when I am doing the coffin shape. But again, you just want to make sure that everything is equal on both sides. So you just want to keep going back and comparing. As you can see right here, you see how it's a little more tapered in than the square. That is what you want to go for. If you want a more narrow look, you can do that. Tapered square is really your own thing. Like, you can make your taper square as narrow as you want it to be, but typically for taper square, it's not going to be as narrow as coffin. But as you can see, it is a little bit more narrow at the tip. I'm just going to narrow it in. I'm going to taper it in a little bit more, but not too much, because I don't want to make this a coffin just yet. You guys will see the difference in the coffin and the taper square in just a second. So you can see the difference at the bottom, the tip of the nail. You see how square this one is, and then you see this one is a little bit tapered in. Now you can taper it in more, which I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to taper it in a little bit more on the right side because I felt like I kind of overfiled the left side. So I was just trying to make it equal, but I was trying to also still keep it from turning into a coffin shape. So now we're going to go on to the coffin, and for me, coffin and tapered are almost identical. Honestly, they can pass for the same thing in my opinion, but typically coffin is going to be a little more narrow at the tip of your nail and just overall more narrow in the whole body of the nail. So again, I'm starting off on the sides. You want to make sure that none of the tip is overlapping your natural nail. It should not be coming off the sides of your natural nail. If you're using bigger tips to cover sidewall to sidewall, you want to make sure that everything is getting filed on the sides so that it is in a straight line in accordance to your natural nail. I hope that's making sense. You want everything to be in a completely straight line coming out of your natural nail. This is so that it's going to make it look like your natural nail. You do not want it to be bulky. When people don't file the sides of their nails, that is what's making it look bulky and kind of like wide on the nail. You do not want that. You want to shape it in as much as you can, but you want to be sure that you are not over filing it, because sometimes you can over file it and make it too skinny and it's not matching up with your natural nail. So however narrow their natural nail is, that is how narrow you want to make it. Sometimes you can even make it a little more narrow. Typically, if they have wide nail beds, you are going to want to go for a more flattering shape, which is usually a tapered square or coffin look. Square on wide nail beds usually doesn't look that flattering. So if you are taking clients, that is something you might want to suggest. I personally always do a tapered square look, even if it's just a tad bit tapered in on people with wide nail beds. It just gives it a more, it gives it a more pretty look. Like the shape is just prettier on their nail beds. Now me, I have very, very narrow nail beds, so I can pretty much do any shape and it will look okay. But that is just a quick tip for people who are taking clients, and I did not know that before I started taking clients. It was just something that I picked up and started noticing. And I also noticed that other nail techs typically tend to do like a more tapered square on people with wider nail beds. So you don't have to, it's not a necessity, but that is just a tip from me to you that I would suggest to your clients if you are taking clients. So this nail is the coffin shape. When you are doing coffin, it is basically tapered square, but more tapered in, if that makes sense. You always want to make sure that the free edge is straight. When you go to nail school and you learn to file, they're going to tell you that to file the free edge, you should just be going in one motion. You should not be going back and forth. But that's a whole nother, it's really not another video, but I'll go into that if y'all want me to. I don't apply it to when I do nails, so it's not really something that I care to share with you all. But when you're doing the free edge and trying to get it as straight as possible, some people use a file to get it straight, which is a better way. But since this is a no e-file video, I could not do that. I just went ahead and used my hand file. But anyway, what we're doing right now is I'm just making this whole nail more narrow. And you just want to keep going back and forth, back and forth. If you need to switch your file and go in different motions, then do that. Whatever is going to work for you, make it work for you. For me, I do this way. I file straight up and down as well. And this just gives me a more crisp shape for some reason. I love to file straight up and down. It comes out super, super crisp. And the reason why I did that is because I kind of messed up at the edge of this nail, like the tip of the nail. I made it a little bit too like curved in. And the reason for that, I'm glad that I actually did that so I can explain to y'all what not to do. When you are shaping your nails and you are holding the file, sometimes you can tend to hold the file at the bottom of the nail inwards too much. You need to make sure that the body of the nail and the file are going straight, perfectly straight. When you start to turn your hand and you're going inwards, it's kind of hard to realize sometimes or catch it that you were curving the nail. So what I mean by like just placing it straight is you need to just make sure that you are holding your file completely straight to the nail. Whichever way, like if the nail is diagonal, your file needs to be diagonal, but straight diagonally on the nail, if that makes sense. Like it needs to lay flat diagonally on the nail. If you have to fix anything or make anything a little bit more crisp, I do recommend that you go up and down with the file, and that's going to make it a super sharp, crisp look. I always go up and down when I am doing the free edge of people's nails, and I have them face their hand towards me, and I just go back and forth like to their face, to my face, to their face, to my face, if that makes sense. I hope y'all can envision what I'm talking about when I'm doing the tip of their nail and just making it really, really straight and crisp. So right here, I'm just showing you all the difference in the taper square and the coffin. As you can see, the coffin is getting a little more narrow towards the edge of the nail, and the whole body of the nail is a little bit more narrow. So that to me is my coffin. That is how I make my coffin shaped nails. If you want to make them even more narrow, you can, but I pretty much did like the basic. I did not make them super, super skinny or super, super narrow. I just wanted to show you all the basics of how to shape the nail into different shapes. Again, I am no pro at shaping. I do not shape on a daily, and typically I don't have to, just because I have pre-shaped nails or pre-shaped tips already. But I just wanted to show you all, for those who only have square and cannot afford to get the pre-shaped ones, then this is how I do it. I'm sure there are plenty other shaping videos on YouTube that you can refer to as well, just to compare. But yeah, so right now I'm going ahead and I cut this wrong. I should have place my scissors upwards a little more before doing that. As you can see, that was super tilted compared to the other side, so I did have to really focus on this and correct it. Stiletto is very hard as far as shaping and cutting them. It's even tricky for me. So when you are cutting them, you have to, if you can keep the number on the nail, then that's an even better guide. So you're basically going to take your scissors and you're going to cut upwards, but tilt your scissors just a little bit to the right or left. In the middle, you're going to take the scissors in the middle of the nail where the number is, and you're going to tilt your scissors to the right just a little bit, just a tad bit. And then you're going to take the scissors again and do the same thing to the opposite side. And that should make like a V cut for you to give you a little guide of how you have to file. Then you're just going to file back and forth each side. And you want to do it about the equal amount of times just so that you are getting everything even. Obviously, this nail was not even just from the cut, so I did have to correct it. And what you have to do when you're doing that is you need to make sure that the one that has the deeper V, go ahead, if you can cut it a little bit more to make it not as deep, then do that. So that is what I did right there. And that made it a little easier for me to start shaping and get them to be exactly the same on both sides. If you cannot do that, then honestly, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat anything. You're pretty much like fucked if you don't do the stiletto the right way, the cut the right way the first time. So that is why I really recommend that if you are new to stiletto, if you can get pre-shaped stilettos, then go ahead and do that. If not, I would highly suggest that you just take a file and you do not cut anything. The file is going to be an easier way for you to start off with pre-shaping. It's going to take you longer than if you were to cut it, but it's going to give you a better gauge on what you're doing in the shaping as far as stiletto is concerned, because that is an easy mess up and you will have to take that whole entire nail off, or your stilettos are going to be crooked, and that is not cute. Like, a crooked stiletto is not cute at all, you guys. Now, as you can see, I am filing the entire nail on the sides as well. You want to make sure that that is narrow too. I see a lot of people when they do stiletto, they don't make the entire nail sharp or straight. They make it kind of like, it's kind of like bulky, and then it will go into a point. Now, for some people like that look. Not, I won't say bulky, I would say it's a little more wide. I make my stilettos very narrow. I like the narrow look for stilettos, but some people do not do it that way. I do have some tips. They are not on the website this week. I'm still waiting for them to come in, but as y'all know, I use some stiletto tips on my pop art nails. If you have not seen that video, I'll link it above for you all right here. But I use some stiletto tips in my pop art nails and pop art nail video, and those tips are perfect, you guys. Like, I love them so much. They are so easy. They come like pre-shaped, so they're perfect. They're the perfect stiletto. If you do need to cut them, then they are already still a little pre-shaped, so you just need to narrow out the bottom or the tip of the stiletto nail. But you guys, they're perfect. They're 2XL, and they're so pretty. I just love them to death. But that is how my coffin came out. I could have done a little more, which I went back and did just to shape it up a little bit more how I wanted it to be, a little bit more narrow at the tip. But that was pretty much it for the shaping, you guys. But yeah, I do have some stiletto tips coming in for you all, and they will be for purchase hopefully next week or within the next 2 weeks. But again, I do have some tips on my website and full cover tips if you are looking to make some press-ons. I have those on my website, I believe, as well. Everything is going to be in the description box for you all to go look. But right now, I am done with the shaping. I hope that helped y'all a little bit. If it didn't, I'm so sorry, because I am not the best at shaping. But it was, I can't believe y'all kept requesting this video. I was like, do y'all really want to see me shape? Like, I barely know how to shape as it is. So I just decided to make it because I have not been posting videos. I have been super busy, you guys, and this was the easiest video that I could do for the allotted time that I had until next week. I do not have any free days at all until next week. I'm going out of town literally in 2 hours, so I wanted to get this video up for you guys. It's like 4 a.m. on Wednesday. I am leaving at like 6, so I'm trying to get this video posted for you all sometime today. I hope it taught somebody something, if not one person. Then but yeah, so like I was saying, I am just going ahead and I'm using my file to blend the tips in with the natural nail. This is something that people tend to do if they either don't have an e-file, or if that person's nails are already like a little on the thinner side, or there's some damage or something and you don't want to take an e-file and do any more pressure or any more scuffing up of the natural nail. So this is an easy way. It does take a little longer, but honestly, I prefer doing it this way because it blends a little better for me. When I use my sanding band, I tend to accidentally like go on top of my natural nail, and I hate when I do that. So for me, the regular hand file is just fine. I actually prefer, to use the hand file when I am doing any type of filing over top of the nail. It just, I don't know, for whatever reason, it just makes it more crisp to me. I have more control over it, so that is what I use. But right here, I'm just going ahead and I'm shaping up the tips. Everything is pretty much done. I just wanted to keep showing you all back and forth. As you can see, the middle finger is tapered square. The ring finger is my coffin. I'm just straightening up the tip because it was not getting straight for me, y'all. Like, I should have actually tapered the left side of that nail in a little more, but anyway, so I'm just going over the nail again with the file. And if you were about to really do someone's nails, you could also go over it with a buffer, but that's really, you really don't have to, because you're going to be placing acrylic over top of it, or whatever you're going to be placing over top of it, whether it's polygel or whatever you're using. But this is just, people do this part also. Some people don't know this, but people do this part of scuffing up the nail just so that they can see the nail. You only do it when you are using clear tips, and that's because sometimes you can like miss the edges of the nail when you are placing acrylic down. So this is why people do that. And also the blending of the tip into the natural nail, which I don't always do, but it is recommended. You blend the tip into the natural nail so that there is no bulkiness when you are placing the acrylic down, which can happen. You can sometimes see an indent on the nail when you don't not pre-shape, but when you don't file it down and get it very smooth. So that is why people do this. If you are wondering, I personally didn't know for a very long time, so I just wanted to tell you all why we do this step. But yeah, you guys, this is how the nails came out. I hope this video was a little bit informative. I know I'm not the best at shaping, but hopefully it helps somebody out. And yeah, if y'all like this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you're subscribed, and I will see y'all in the next one. I love y'all so much. Mwah. Bye.